What's up, Lexus brethren? We've got our SC400 today. This is a 96 SC400, still on the factory suspension. Just need to replace everything with some fresh stuff. You know, I'm rocking MaXpeedingRods on the 300ZX for over a year now. No problems, good to go. And MaXpeedingRods was nice enough to send this out some for the Lexus. So let's unbox this bad boy. See what we're looking at. MaXpeedingRods is my go-to for like budget build coilovers, man. For bang for your buck, you're not gonna beat them. Not gonna beat them. Boom, here we go. Pull it out, these bad boys right here. Oh yeah. Individually wrapped, just beautiful. Every time these are beautiful. I'm actually surprised. Every time I get to install some of these, just the quality for the price. Hard to beat. All right, well, this is what we're looking at here. This is just the height adjustable series. We've got our body that we're going to be mounting to the car right here. It is welded. There's a good look at the welds. I mean, we're going to ride this around on our big Lexus and see how it is. Of course, this is for our adjustability right here, our locking rings. This one will control the spring compression rate and the preload that we're going to put on the spring. This is of course going to lock in the ride height. Our strut, dust boot, and mounting plate up at the top. Boom. MaXpeedingRods. They do offer these in adjustable dampening, which I do have on the 300ZX. I'll put a link up to that video. Let's go ahead. Let's start at the front and work our way back. Boys and girls, here we are. There's our strut, and you can see how much oil and just build up there is right here. This thing is completely blown. It rides terribly. This is a telltale sign. If you're ever looking underneath a car, maybe you want to buy one, assessing one you just bought, you see this, that shock is completely blown. And I'm not surprised. These are the factory shocks and they have a lot of miles on them. All right, we got our strut out of the way. And to do that, we did have to remove this upper control arm right here. Let's take this bolt out. The thing about this bolt is super long. So to be able to slide that all the way out, we had to get our inner fender liner moved out of the way, and this lower one, we're gonna have to remove it completely. But we had to take out about 85% of the bolts, maybe 90% of the bolts, and then our wheel speed sensor, and be able to drop this bolt right here so we could slide that out of the way, and then the bolt was able to slide right back through there like that. And then once that arm's out of the way, we can push this forward, swing it out of the way, and the strut does remove. All right, well, there's a side-by-side comparison of our new coilover system versus this old wore out, just nasty strut. For what we're gonna do to set the ride height on this, we're actually gonna match it up to this front coilover. I might come in a little bit smaller because I know we're gonna want to lower it a little bit. Unfortunately, these wheels are the wheels that will be going back on the car. I ordered wheels like 4 months ago. They're on back order. I'm just waiting for them to show up. So we're gonna continue to rock these ugly Lexus wheels that somebody painted black and just made it even worse. Good news is the tire's good. While we get this all prepped up to go on the vehicle, I'm also going to hit it with anti-seize on the threads for the body of the strut and make sure we get it in here. Then we'll set the preload, and then we'll be able to install this and ready to go and put what looks like a disaster back together. It's actually not that bad. All right, well, here we got our strut. I took off the bottom mounting threads onto the strut, and this is actually what adjusts the ride height, and this is the locking ring that will lock it into place. These set of locking rings adjust the spring load. For spring load, all we want to do is kind of get it hand tight. So we'll tighten it up, but we don't want to be able to twist it with our hand, but we don't want it to be all bound up either. So it actually comes pretty good. we'll put some of this anti-seize on the body of the strut right here on these threads. So as we thread this up, it'll get in there. And it comes coated with a little something. I already have this, so I'll put a little something extra on there. That way if I go to adjust the ride height, because these live in a really harsh environment, of course, has the weight of the car, and then road dust, debris, brake dust, all that stuff gets embedded in these threads. All that stuff as time goes on and they just get beat up. So we're gonna do what we can to keep them nice. Use a little anti-seize. I'm also gonna use them on the bolts too. All right, we went ahead and set both of our fronts to about the same length. That way we kind of know what's going on each side since I'm going to install them. And as you can see, we have our anti-seize in there. And it's not locked into place quite yet. In case we need to do any adjustment, we'll do last minute adjustments when we get it in place. All right, there we have it. Ladies and gentlemen, there's our one coilover. That's one of the front. Now the trick, of course, was we need to take this bolt out to let this top arm swing loose, swing the whole hub out, and get our strut out. And to do that, we did have to take out the plastic. Just take a few minutes. It really isn't that bad. Take a few minutes, take out the plastic here and here, let that bolt swing, and then you can just put it all back together. 10 millimeters. There was 112 on the window washer fluid if you're doing this on an SC. Quick peek at the progress. That's the front lowered. It actually looks perfect. I think we got the ride height for our stock wheels. Now those are 16-inch wheels, and it's got a lot of tire, 225, 55 on 16, so it fills up nicely. It lowered it down. We're gonna move on to the back. One thing I want to touch on is when you're lowering, if you're watching this for an SC400, SC300, I mean, most any cars, my 240 over there, there's a wiring harness that runs in these wheel wells, and on this car, I think it's on the driver's side. Go too low, your tires are too big, you run into clearance issues, you can chew through that harness. That's a huge deal on the SC300 400s. We haven't went too low. We will need to relocate that wiring harness once we get our wheels on here. And of course, I need to fix that fender. We will be actually fixing that fender, not replacing and then repainting. So if you want to see how that's done, make sure to hit that subscribe button. All right, well, here is the back struts on our SC400. This one's going to be a little bit easier. We don't have to remove any plastic shielding. All right, we've got to remove the bottom bolt on our strut. Actually going to drop this arm out of the way. We'll disconnect it from the sway bar right here. And then we mark the position of this bolt. This is for the alignment right here. And then we'll drop this arm out the bottom and it'll allow us to move the strut. And of course, just in the back, in the trunk here, remove this piece of plastic, super easy. We've got our 3 bolts right there. There was a cap on there, but underneath the cap, those 3 bolts, we'll drop this out. Here's our old strut and spring combination. Not as bad as the front. Definitely not as bad as the front, but it'll do good to replace it. It's not blown out like the other one. Here's our new unit. I've already got it to the length that we're gonna go. And go ahead and get it back in place and then get our lower control arm bolted back up and get this car down. See here how we have our sway bar disconnected here. There's our sway bar there. And then we have our lower control arm disconnected, dropped out of the way, and then that's where our strut bolts up to. Then right up to there. That gives us enough room to get that out of the way. But we'll have to realign it once we lower this anyways, because it's going to throw the geometry of the suspension off altogether. Alright, so trying to get these on the car, it did run into a little snag. The hole on the MaXpeedingRod coilovers is smaller than this hole. And this is the bolt. It goes in here, fine, here. Yeah, that's a no-go there. So, what I'm gonna do, get this bad boy right here. I'm gonna punch this thing out, make it a little bit bigger. And then also this mounting plate that goes on the top of the strut. These are spaced just a little bit differently. It goes into the car fine, but this brace right here helps strengthen the metal, the sheet metal of the car, so it doesn't crack around the top of the strut, which happens, especially these older cars. So we definitely want to put it back, but as you can see, the holes on this brace that come on the car are a little bit smaller, and these are spread out just a little bit further. Like I said, it goes in the car fine, but this brace, so we're gonna punch these holes out on this brace as well so we can get all of it back together. All right, well there we go. Our brace now fits on the top. We'll be able to put that in, no problem. And our bolt now will fit inside, boom, no problem. I put a little anti-seize on this to you know, make sure it doesn't seize up to the bushing inside the lower control arm. All right, I've got the preload set where I want it, and I went ahead and threw some, if you can see right there, some anti-seize up here on this ring and locked it all into place. We got make sure and lock the bottom ring into place so it doesn't adjust, and then lock your top rings into place too. And then this strut is done, so our rear struts are done, our front struts are done. Get these tires thrown back on. Let's go drive this thing and see what we got. All right guys, so we're in the SC400. We just got the new suspension on. I can already tell you all the unnecessarily clunking and bouncing and the shocks bottoming out from that wore out suspension we took off of the car. We're doing way better now. But we're gonna check out these coilovers, see how they handle. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm already, and we're at low speeds, but this thing, these coilovers handle great. I have them on my 300ZX, and now I have them on my SC400, and I'm always surprised with just the responsiveness on how they handle. Eliminate body roll. Of course, we did lower the car quite a bit from the factory. Alright, so this is our new ride height with the coilovers. We're just, of course, on these stock wheels. We're pretty low. Have to adjust this when we get our new wheels and tires on there, but it's better than that rig. Links in the description below for the coilovers, anti-seize, and all the stuff we used in this video. You want to save 10% on your next set of coilovers, head over to MaXpeedingRods.com. Use promo JGarage, let them know I sent you over there, and they will hook you up with 10% off. Support the sponsors that support this channel, much appreciated. I was able to chat with MaXpeedingRods about the rear strut mounting bolt hole discrepancy that I came across when installing these on our 1996 Lexus SC400. And I was able to get them the OEM bolt diameter, so hopefully we'll see that implemented in future versions of this coilover. The finish is just kind of tight on that bolt hole. Just open it up a little bit and you're on the way. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure and hit that subscribe button if you want to see us work on this car some more. If you want to see the 300ZX, the 240SX, or the SC400, and who knows what else I'll get into in the future. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.